These custom tables are made to fold up and store really easily, and in this video we're going to walk through and talk about how Steve created them. And he shared these in the MakerPipe community, which we appreciate, and he used just a few materials to put these together, and we're going to kind of walk through and talk about those materials and then the different techniques that he incorporated into this build to be able to fold these up and down, which is really cool. And these tables are made out of 3/4 inch EMT conduit, which is the steel tubing that you'll see throughout the build, and then you'll also see these steel fittings down here, and these are something that we manufacture in upstate South Carolina, and we ship them all over the country for people to build their custom projects, as we can see from Steve here. And we have all sorts of fittings, and they're made to clamp around EMT conduit, and you don't have to do any welding or drilling. Just use a 5mm hex wrench to put them together, and then you can cut EMT conduit with a handheld rotating pipe and tube cutter, and that makes it really easy to customize dimensions for tables and different things. But essentially we'll walk through and talk about these custom tables that he put together. And these are actually stands that he made to be portable stands for bird cages, which is really unique, but you could utilize these techniques for all kinds of different things and make custom tables that fold up and store really easily. And here we can see them kind of folded up in this flat pack position where they're able to be stored and take up a lot less space than when they're folded out, as we can see in this photo. And he really, utilized some fantastic techniques to be able to do this. Here you can see kind of both of them flat packed and stacked together. And here's a good shot of the frame, but we'll go back and we'll highlight the build and basically just walk through and talk about the design. And it's really not too complicated. It's essentially just two halves that are kind of mirror each other, and then they kind of scissor to create this awesome table that folds out, and then you can fold them together, and they cross each other's path here. And there's a bolt running through the pieces of conduit, and that's what allows them to hinge and fold down or back up. And essentially this is just a piece of EMT conduit that starts down here and then goes up. And I imagine he used a handheld pipe bender to be able to achieve this. It looks like a 45-degree bend or a similar angle to be able to go up and then essentially go all the way up here. And then it's the same thing on the back pipe as well that goes all the way up on the other side. And then, the same bend back there. And at the very bottom of the EMT conduit, we can see that he used the casters that we sell, and those just hammer into the end of the EMT conduit and then allow you to roll your project around. So that's a nice addition that he added to the build. We can see here that he used a couple of MakerPipe T-connectors, which allow that piece of conduit to run continuously through it up to the top of the build. And then there's another piece of conduit that terminates in the bottom half of the T-connector and runs from one side to the other. And that's what he did there for that cross brace. And then essentially at the very top of this is just another T-connector here on both sides, and that just adds a cross brace between the two legs. And essentially it's just that mirrored on the other side with the caster and everything else, and basically just making 4 of those, and they're just slightly spaced apart because you just want to accommodate the offset of these two pieces of conduit crossing each other. But essentially you're just creating 2 sets of these legs that extend up and then have a hole drilled through both pieces, and then this bolt that goes through both pieces and then has a nut on the other side. We can see that he added a washer between the 2 pieces of conduit just to help them rotate smoothly. But that's essentially it for the main part of the frame with the EMT conduit and MakerPipe connectors. It's just 4 sets of legs made in the same way, and then, like I said, just bolted together and offset to create that kind of scissor function so this can fold down. And then we can see a crucial part of this is, the empty conduit, once it goes up, you want it to catch on the tabletop that you're using. So you can't just use a flat piece of wood or something and then secure that with 1-hole straps or something that we typically see. You want to make sure that you have overhang on the edge of the tabletop in order for the EMT conduit to catch underneath and catch on the lip so that it stops and keeps from, continuing to rotate. You want those to be able to catch in there and then be able to, kind of stop so that the table, once it's folded out, is set in place and won't keep rotating. But here we can kind of see where I was talking about where the T-connector at the top of the frame has the 2 pieces of, or the 1 piece of EMT conduit going between them, and that's what catches on that lip on the inside of the tabletop. But essentially, like I said, he used this to make stands for bird cages, but you could use this if you're making, a workshop table that you only need every so often. You can incorporate this design, and it's pretty simple to accomplish. You just got to make those tabletops with the lips. But other than that, it's not too complicated of a project, and that's really cool, Steve. So thanks so much for sharing this. Hopefully you guys found this helpful and can incorporate this idea into your future builds. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.